Hey there, everyone. My name is Angela, and welcome to another episode of Trans-Cending Cinema, although today's is a little bit special. This is my top 10 favorite films of 2017. Before I begin, though, I should let you all know that these are my personal opinions on the films that came out last year, and my list is most likely going to be very different from all of yours. If you want to give your opinions on what your favorites were last year, leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to see what your favorites were. I also haven't seen every single film from last year, so if something that you feel should be on the list isn't on here, there's a possibility that I haven't seen it quite yet. With that being said, let's kick off this list with some honorable mentions. These are some of the best of 2017, but they didn't quite make it into my top 10, and some of these include Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, John Wick, Chapter 2, Lady Bird, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, the Lego Batman movie, Logan, and finally Spider-Man Homecoming. And now with the honorable mentions out of the way, we can kick off my list with number 10. Wonder Woman was by far the best superhero film to come out of 2017. It's hopeful, exciting, and well acted from beginning to end. Gal Gadot was absolutely amazing in the titular role, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what she does with the character years down the road. Coming in at number 9, we have Baby Driver. The latest film by Edgar Wright is well acted, well directed, and one of the most exciting action films you'll see all year. With a dynamite performance by Ansel Elgort as Baby and a soundtrack that syncs up almost perfectly with the story at hand, this might not be my favorite Edgar Wright film, but it's still amazing to watch from beginning to end. Moving on to number 8, we have Blade Runner 2049. Now, to be completely honest, I was never a huge fan of the original Blade Runner film, and I'm not the biggest fan of Denis Villeneuve as a director. For both the original film and Denis Villeneuve as a director, they've just been kind of underwhelming to me. So just imagine my surprise when a sequel to a film I didn't really care for, directed by somebody that I'm not the biggest fan of, actually turned out to be one of my favorites of the year. The cinematography was just gorgeous. Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford gave pitch-perfect performances, and a film that was at 2 hours and 45 minutes never felt long due to such an engaging story. If you haven't had a chance to see this gorgeous film yet, please do. It's not just better than the original, it's a science fiction masterpiece. Coming in at number 7 is a great movie about the making of one of the worst. The Disaster Artist isn't just a great film about the making of The Room, but also a look into the weird little friendship between Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero. This is the first time that the Franco brothers have ever starred in anything together, and the chemistry that they have with each other is just phenomenal. Together, they navigate not just a funny script, but also one of the most heartfelt and human that I've seen all year. Even if you've never seen The Room before, this film is completely watchable and could introduce you to the cult hit. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it's so well acted. I highly enjoyed it, highly recommend you check it out, and I'm really hoping James Franco gets the Best Actor in a Leading Role Oscar this year. Coming in at number 6, we have what is easily the greatest animated movie of the year, Coco. When I first saw the trailers for Coco, I was a little bit skeptical. Each trailer made it seem like it was going to be a predictable and familiar story with nothing really new to add, but once I had finally seen it, I was pleasantly surprised. Not only is it a wonderful celebration of Mexican culture using some of the most gorgeous animation you'll see all year, it also takes some risks to examine some very mature themes such as death and makes it easier for kids to understand. Nothing is sugarcoated in this film, and it takes its demographic of younger children very seriously. With these messages being told through such a colorful and entertaining story with memorable characters, Coco is one of Pixar's best and one that you definitely need to check out. In a year loaded with Stephen King adaptations, my number 5 pick is It. It is probably the closest to King's writing style I've ever seen in any of these adaptations. It focuses on the characters that are engaged in the horror scenario rather than the horror itself. The kids experience far more terrifying things through their experiences with the adults in this town rather than It, better known as Pennywise by most fans. It makes for a more engaging story and just a better film overall. There have been so many adaptations of King's works this year, but by far this is the best, and it's even better than the miniseries that came out back in the 90s. If you're a fan of King, check this one out. We're now down to the final 4 best films of the year, and coming in at number 4 is War for the Planet of the Apes. This is supposedly the final entry in a trilogy of Planet of the Apes prequels, and what a way for it to go out. This film brings Caesar's story full circle, and Andy Serkis once again delivers a magnificent performance as the character. You don't see Serkis just playing a character. You just see Caesar himself on the big screen. His performance is just that good. Strangely enough, this film is the most human of the Planet of the Apes films. Even though there's not exactly a physical war for the Planet of the Apes, it's all emotional, and it's just so intriguing to see where this story will take you. If you've been following this trilogy since the first entry came out in 2011, War for the Planet of the Apes is sure to provide an immensely satisfying conclusion. We're getting down to the wire here. Coming in at number 3 is The Shape of Water. Guillermo del Toro has come to be one of the most visionary directors working today, and this just might be his masterpiece. The story is just so hauntingly beautiful and well told. This film absolutely earned its Best Directing Golden Globe last week with Del Toro's amazing direction and the brilliant chemistry between Sally Hawkins and Doug Jones keeping everything afloat. If you're a fan of everything Del Toro or just love a great story, check this one out. At the second spot on my list is actually a film that was at number 1 for a majority of the year, Get Out. Apparently, this was Jordan Peele's first go at directing a feature film, and after seeing this, I want to see everything that he does. I honestly don't know what I can add to the discussion of this film that hasn't already been said. The characters are so interesting, the story is horrifying and eye-opening, the social commentary and satire are thought-provoking. This film is my favorite horror film of the year for a very strong reason. It uses the genre to its potential to not just terrify, but also enlighten its audience about very real things that are happening in our country. I'm very excited to see what Jordan Peele will do next. He's brought attention to a genre that's not usually taken very seriously and managed to make it one of the most intelligent films of the year. I bet most of you are wondering right now, if Get Out was my favorite film for a majority of the year, what could my number 1 be? Well, my favorite film of the year most likely has gone under most of your radars. And that film is Brigsby Bear. This little indie film about a man who was abducted as a child, learning that the show he grew up watching was created only for him by the man and woman who abducted him, was such a unique little film that was surprisingly relatable to creators such as myself. I'll never forget the first time I ever saw John Carpenter's Halloween, and it had such an impact on me that I wanted to create films myself. I would analyze the film, I would look into all the little hidden secrets behind the making of it. I would be so intrigued about how this little indie film could have such a huge impact on me, and that's exactly what the main character goes through here. This entire film is a perfect representation of just how much popular culture can influence creators in the artistic world. These are the kinds of movies I love, not just because it related to me personally, but because it actually uses the visual medium to create an emotional response and show us just what it means to be human. Brigsby Bear most likely won't get a lot of award recognition, and that's really unfortunate, but for what it's worth, this is my favorite film of the year. So those have been my top 10 favorite films of 2017. What have been some of yours? Feel free to leave a list or some of your absolute favorites in the comments below. I'd love to see them. I'd also like to give another shout out to my friend Katie Ledford for the amazing artwork she did for this channel. While I wasn't quite as animated in this video as my Insidious review due to 3 different movies I have to see this weekend to review, she still did an amazing job. As always, I'll leave a link in the description below to her official Tumblr page if you're interested in commissioning her for your own projects. Take care, everyone. I will see you soon for reviews of Paddington 2, The Commuter, and Proud Mary. Hey everyone, welcome back to my end card. I bet some of you are probably wondering, am I going to do a top 10 worst of the year? Yes, that is happening, but I'm going to need a little bit of time to get these 3 reviews done first. I plan to work on it sometime next week. Until then, hope you all have a great day.